Hi everyone, Carol here from Oak House Journals. Hello, thank you so much for joining me for what is part 2 of how I decorate the boxes that I send out my mini trifold journals in. Before we start, can I just say thank you so much for the lovely comments that everybody left me. I really do appreciate them, and I do read each and every one and enjoy them so much. In fact, yesterday I was having a lovely little chuckle to myself. Paula, I had an image of you in your pantry throwing bottles and tins and packets over your shoulder as you were rummaging around trying to find a suitable box to collage. I just had that image in my head as I was reading your comment. And Leanne, yeah, well, what can I say? We crafters are just little heroes. I mean, we do what is necessary and we go that extra mile just so that we can find the right box or the right ribbon or whatever. And if it meant that I had to eat 40,000 Ryvitas, well, I was just prepared to do it now, wasn't I? I really was. Mind you, they do fib because, or they tell us little white lies, because they do say you lose weight if you eat those Ryvita things. Well, I have to say, after eating 40,000 of those, I haven't lost a pound. Now, I'm not talking about the Easter eggs that have been consumed in this household this weekend, but certainly I haven't lost a pound eating all of those Ryvitas, I can tell you. And I actually feel that, and I can honestly say, actually not feel, I can say that there's probably more taste in this piece of cardboard down here than there are in some of those Ryvitas that I've just been eating. So anyway, enough of that nonsense, other than to say that following on from Leanne's comment, I've realised that I've actually been doing it the wrong way round. I've been trying to find the perfect box to collage that will fit the mini trifold journals that I've made. Now that is completely the wrong way round. What I should have been doing is making my journals fit the size of boxes that I have available at home here. And after this weekend, I can tell you that all my future journals will be the size of Cadbury's Easter egg boxes because we seem to have a load of those left over. I will be using them following Angela Kerr's advice for my recycled packaging challenge, using those in some of my books and journals. So anyway, I'm blathering as usual, everybody. This is where we got to yesterday. As I said yesterday, I just collaged the whole front of my Ryvita box to mute down the colour. And as Andrea very nicely pointed out in her comment, thank you so much, Andrea, and you're absolutely right. Andrea suggested that I could actually have done a wash of gesso over the front of my box. That would have muted down the lime green and the red advertising on the outside of the box, and it would have given me the tooth that I needed to do the collaging on. You were absolutely right, Angela, and I perhaps should have mentioned that in the previous video that I did. The reason I personally didn't do that and wanted to do collaging on mine was because firstly I didn't have I don't have that much gesso left over here at home, and as I mentioned in the previous video, I have oodles and oodles of this ledger paper, so I've been trying to use that up in a constructive way. But yes, you're absolutely right, you could equally use gesso if you prefer to go down that route. So thank you very much for mentioning that and reminding me so that I could pass that information on. So what I did yesterday, as you saw, I collaged this little bit here. And then when you'd all gone away and left me to my own devices, thank you so much, I got on and did the other side here. Now, as I said, when I'd collaged it all I do is I put it somewhere and leave it to dry so that it can roughly hang and pick up its line or its folds whilst it's drying. So I left it just to air dry for a good few hours, and then when it was dry I came back and I trimmed off all the edges just with a pair of scissors. I also went round it, and where there were some loose edges, for example in the corners maybe, I just used my art glitter glue, put a daub of glue down, and just glue those pieces down, because however hard you try gluing or pushing your glue right to the edge of your cardboard, I always find that you will find some edges won't stick. So it's easy enough just to go round to secure all those loose edges with a dab of glue. What I also do is I use my bone folder, and if there are any wrinkles, I just rub over the top and smooth all those wrinkles down. Now, I didn't get many wrinkles yesterday. Sorry, you're probably picking up a bit of sun. There are a few wrinkles on here, but they are actually smooth because I've gone over them with my bone folder. So that's another tip. And also what I tend to do is I will push my folds gently into their place and give them a good old burnish with my bone folder. Now, as I said to you yesterday, do not panic if your paper cracks at the line of your fold, because as I said yesterday, you can use, here it comes again, the art glitter glue, put a daub of glue down, smooth it down and just leave it to dry for 30 seconds. And Bob's your uncle, and off you can jolly well go with the rest of the project. Or the other option is you can just collage another piece of paper over the top. So that is what I did with this, which was the top of our box. And then, whilst you weren't looking, I turned it over and I started collaging the inside of the box. And this is where I've got, this is what you would have seen before I started doing all those steps. So before I started trimming off the excess, and as you can see here, even though I took my glue right to the end, it hasn't stuck down. So I will now go round using my art glitter glue and sticking it down. So I will trim the edges, I will do that, and I've got very few wrinkles on this side. This is obviously because I was paying a lot more attention doing this than I was yesterday whilst I was trying to record it. I do have a little bit of an air bubble here, but I'm not too bothered about that, because when I come to collage over the top with my Nagasaki papers, it will probably saturate this paper, ledger paper, and flatten it down to the cardboard. But in any event, this is my inside, so that is not going to be noticeable at all by the time I've collaged over the top of it. If you are really not happy with one side of your box, there's nothing to stop you, maybe that's the outside of your box, there's nothing to stop you reversing the folds of your box so that the inside surface becomes the outside surface. So for example, I'm just going to flip this over. This side I know is the outside of my box. You can just see in that corner the advertising for the Ryvita box peeking through. Now, because these boxes, they're like cereal boxes, they're not heavyweight, they are quite forgiving, and as you can see, still quite flexible, but a lot more sturdy than it was. And by the time I've put my next layer on, it will be even more sturdy. So there's nothing to stop you reversing your folds, so that effectively you turn the inside of the box. Sorry, I've got my edges from the other side still poking through. Turn the inside edges of your inside surface of your box to the outside, or vice versa. So here, for example, because my inside surface looks to me so much better than the outside surface that I did with you guys because of this particular piece here, then I will probably reverse my surfaces, make this my inside and have this as my outside. If you are collaging something like heavyweight cardboard or Amazon packaging, you might have some difficulty reversing it just because of how thick that that cardboard is. What else do I have to mention to you? Oh yes, I should have mentioned to you this little edge here. Again, as I say, this is the outside of our box, and there is this little edge here, which is the piece that connects the whole box together. This is the bit that glues to the other side down there and forms the shape of your box. Now, I should have mentioned to you yesterday, you don't need to collage that piece, and you can see I haven't done it. If you have been playing along with me, it's absolutely no problem whatsoever if you have collaged that bit. It really simply doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's just that you don't need to do it if you don't want to. It's not, if you've collaged it, it's not going to affect how that sticks down when you reassemble your box. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to sit here and babble away to you as I go round and literally just trim off my edges. I am going to make a start on them though. I'm not going to expect you to sit here and watch me just trim off my edges. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and I'm going to do that. Any loose edges that I have got, I'm going to get out my art glitter glue and stick them down. And I am going to burnish my creases, and I'm going to have it all ready and ship shape for us to go ahead and get down to the final collaging. So what I probably will do after I've done all that is I will actually collage inside with the papers that or the scrap pieces of paper that I want to have on the inside of my box. I'm going to leave this flat and opened out as I do that collaging because quite simply, if you reconstruct your box and glue it together, you've got that age-old problem. It's really difficult to try and collage inside. So I'm going to do my final collaging with my Nagasaki scraps and book pages inside, and I'm going to let that dry, and then when I come back to you tomorrow, the inside of my box will be done, and it will also be reconstructed. It will be glued back into shape, so I will put a Dauber glue along that piece and get my box back into shape, ready for spending some time with you tomorrow or in the next video, collaging the outside of the box. So there we go. That's what we're going to cover today, and hopefully tomorrow when I come back to you, I'll have something a bit more creative to show rather than this scrap of cardboard and paper. All right, everybody, enjoy your afternoon. Have a lovely, lovely day, and I look forward to catching you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.